Listen to Antonio Daniels on this call.
Pels. No. Get it done. And on the...
But this is how rivalries start, though.
Right.
This is how they start.
It's unfortunate, though, it's going to be over before Christmas, the season series.
I understand why he doesn't want the dunk to happen, but as a New Orleans Pelicans fan, I really couldn't be more excited. And as a Pelicans fan, I'm more than happy to tell you why. We've endured a ridiculous amount of disrespect over the past few years or even the past decade or so. And while you can argue that some of it's warranted, I'd argue that a large part of it wasn't. If you ask me, this dunk by Zion Williamson was something that New Orleans really needed. If we're really good, but we're the bad guys because of one Zion Williamson 360 windmill, then so be it. I can name a bunch of worse scenarios. You guys saw what Zion Williamson had to go through over the last couple of seasons. That couldn't have been fun. So let Zion Williamson have his. This Zion Williamson dunk showed us that Zion Williamson is not really here to cater to anybody's feelings. And that's that killer instinct that I could not love more. Since Zion has taken over, the New Orleans Pelicans have been acting completely different. And that's something that we have to talk about this video. But first, we have to talk about how the Ridge wallet is taking over the wallet game. Ridge has perfected the modern wallet, making this super durable minimalist wallet that isn't missing any games due to load management. The Ridge wallet is up for the challenge, and they're actually the sponsor of today's video. If you click the link in the description below, you can take advantage of them sponsoring today's video, as they're giving us up to 40% off any order through December 22nd. The Ridge wallet is actually so durable, and they're so confident that you'll love their product that you can try their product out for 99 days, and if you're not absolutely in love with it by then, you can just send it back and give back that lovely lifetime warranty that they've promised you. And if for whatever reason wallets just aren't your thing, then check out their key case. The case is incredibly smooth and great for holding your core keys. Again guys, that's ridge.com/GetLikeCoop for up to 40% off of your order. What's the worst that happens? You find the perfect wallet? Now, before we go any further, I just want to know if you guys feel like this reaction by the Phoenix Suns was warranted. Now, mind you that the New Orleans Pelicans and the Phoenix Suns have a pre-existing beef dating back to last season's playoffs. Now, I like to think as myself as pretty unbiased, but I understand that sometimes I can be. And even with that in mind, I like to think of that Phoenix versus New Orleans series as a pretty chippy one. Jose Alvarado and Chris Paul got into it, and Jose Alvarado ended up Jose Alvaradoing Chris Paul, which could not be more ironic, especially considering that Chris Paul was once upon a time the New Orleans Hornets franchise player. Though the Pelicans lost in the first round, Jose was phenomenal that entire series. And I mean, to do things like this against the Hall of Famer, you kind of have to be. Jose had Chris Paul so tight that he was giving press conferences like this.
And I think I challenge him as best as I can. And at the end of the day, like I said, he's going to be a Hall of Fame, but he knows my name now too.
You know, we knew Alvarado. We knew he was going to be picking up, you know, high energy.
Now, I just want everybody to know that Jose had a rib contusion coming into the game against Phoenix. When Jose was asked if it meant more to him to fight through this rib contusion to play this game, he said, if that person is playing, then I'm playing. He said he was not going to miss this game. Guys, in this scenario, I think we all know who that person is. This is a bittersweet rivalry because I will always respect what Chris Paul did for New Orleans. But at the same time, now we have Jose Alvarado, and that feels electric. But again, I'm always going to respect Chris no matter how many people hate him. But with that in mind, I thought it was kind of funny that he got mad that Zion Williamson pulled off the 360. How are you going to be mad about the 360 when you're out here doing things like this?
Very well in the first half. He was 2 points shy, as a matter of fact, of a season high. Paul will lay it in, 121-112.
Mind you that Chris Paul could have also literally dribbled out the clock. But of course, I guess the unwritten rules only apply when they're convenient to you. Here's what Zion Williamson had to say after his disgustingly filthy exclamation point on the New Orleans Pelicans holding the 1 seed, even if it is just for the moment.
That was a little out of character for me, but you gotta understand. I mean, you can understand it or not. They sent my teammates home last year. I missed all last year. I got carried away a little bit. I admit that. But, I was in that locker room. My brothers were down because, the Suns sent us home last year. That's a tough moment to be a part of. So in that moment, I got carried away. I admit that. That was out of character for me. So, if they was to do the same thing, I wouldn't have no problem with it.
For those that haven't been watching, Zion Williamson has been playing with a different swagger the entire season. Zion Williamson saw all of the jokes, he saw all of the memes, and let's just say that at this moment he's out for vengeance. And let's just say that it doesn't matter who's in the way. He doesn't care if you're 7 feet tall. He doesn't care if you're 6'1". The result is going to be the same, as I literally don't think there's a body on the planet that can check Zion Williamson in a one-on-one basketball setting at this moment. The difference between Zion's start to the season and where he is now is night and day, which sounds sort of absurd to say considering that he didn't really start the season bad. It's just that relatively speaking, I knew that he could do a whole lot better, and so far he's been proving me right. In his last 8 games, he's averaging 27.6 points, 9 rebounds, and 4.9 assists. And the key is that he's been doing this while being the absolute focal point of the New Orleans Pelicans offense. As of late, Willie Green has been going point Zion, using Zion as the primary facilitator. Instead of letting other players dominate the ball, they've been letting Zion Williamson go to work, and it's been paying dividends. While injuries suck, sometimes it can simplify things, and so has been the case for the New Orleans Pelicans. With Zion Williamson taking control of the Pelicans offense, defenses have had to pay attention. If you don't pay enough attention to him, you're getting punished at the basket. And if you pay too much attention to him, well, this guy can pass. And I'm not talking about he's just going to hit the open guy. Zion Williamson is more than capable of making high-level reads. I've watched every Pelicans game this season, and it's felt like as Zion has become more comfortable and more of a focal point, he's just become more of an all-around player at the same time. On defense, I've seen him taking shots out of the sky. I've seen him playing the passing lanes, and more importantly, I've seen him willingly making the right rotation and fighting for rebounds that he has no business getting. In the month of December, Zion Williamson is averaging over 10 boards a game. Here's what CJ had to say about Zion's improvement on that side of the basketball.
I'm good at, and he's working on it. I talked to him about his defense. I said, you really been putting a extra effort on defense. He said, I've noticed that was something I need to improve on. I wasn't moving how I move on offense. I wasn't doing that on defense. Laterally, I wasn't trying to block shots. I wasn't trying to jump in crowds. I wasn't taking it personal. He said, I'm taking it personal now. And you see some of the interviews where they're asking him how your defense was, and he's like, what do you mean by that?
How would you rate your defense tonight?
You tell me, man. I'm gonna know something about you. How would you rate my defense tonight? Be honest. There's no wrong answers. Be honest. I can accept that.
Yeah. He's enjoying the process of becoming who he's supposed to be. And I don't say that about everybody often, because we're all supposed to be somebody. And we all have a ceiling as to you maximize it or you don't.
This is going to sound like another oversimplification, but all the Pelicans needed was somebody to dominate, and Zion is doing exactly that. You see, the Pelicans have the number 3 defensive rating in the entire NBA. They only trail the Milwaukee Bucks and the Cleveland Cavaliers. When this team finally got things right on the offensive side, I knew that they were going to be dangerous, quite simply because they have too much talent not to be. We're talking about a team that has Jonas Valanciunas, Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, and CJ McCollum in their starting lineup. That's a lot of talent on the offensive side of the basketball. And I haven't even started to talk about some of the key rotational pieces like Najee Marshall, who's unstoppable going downhill and a capable playmaker, Trey Murphy, who's one of the best athletes in the league while being one of the best shooters at the same time. It literally makes no sense. Everybody was so worried about Herb Jones that they started sleeping on Trey Murphy, who grew to 6'10", worked on their handle this offseason, and is probably the perfect player to play alongside Zion Williamson. Guys, some of the dunks that Trey throws down would make Vince Carter drop his jaw. On a serious note, I haven't even gotten to Jose Alvarado and guys like Dyson Daniels, who are fearless. Dyson Daniels is a 19-year-old. He is a 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" point guard that has caused problems for guys like Luka Doncic and Devin Booker. He reminds me a lot of Lonzo Ball, but I don't want to sell him short because I really do feel like the sky is the limit. Now, of course, I can't shout out rotational players without bringing up Larry Nance. Larry Nance has been the ideal small ball center for the New Orleans Pelicans. While I always think that the Pelicans could still use more rim protection, he's been doing a great job at protecting the basket, defending the perimeter, rebounding the ball, finishing around the basket. Literally, whatever you want Larry Nance to do, he will do. Even Devontae Graham has been shooting the ball better this season. Who saw that coming? Now, I know I didn't really give Herb a shout out, but his defense is so good that we kind of take it for granted at this point. He's one of those basketball players that has really good instincts on both sides of the ball and that you really just love to have on your team. What's interesting is that Herb has actually been out for quite a while now. And so has Brandon Ingram, CJ has missed time. The Pelicans have not been the most healthy team, but yet here they are being one of the best teams in the Western Conference. Guys, Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson have only played 12 games together this season. Can anybody smell a coach of the year brewing for Willie Green? All right, let me chill. My bad, guys. I'm just very excited, as you can tell. With that being said, I don't think that I was nearly as excited as Brandon Ingram was after beating the Phoenix Suns, because this guy went off on IG. After the Suns game, Brandon Ingram logged on to IG and said, "Stop playing with us." In that same breath, he said a word that I'm just not going to say in this video. He would also go on to post Zion's stat line of 35, 7, and 4 and say Shaq and Kobe, shut up and F you. I just have to say this, Zion was 13 of 17 against the Suns. When I say that this man is on another level right now, I mean that he's probably on the same level that Brandon Ingram was on. When Brandon Ingram posted his last story of the night saying, "Willie said, come on Cam, I really know you for real." Now to me, this was probably the most disrespectful one, but it was also the funniest one at the same time. Now mind you that Brandon Ingram, Jose Alvarado, and Najee Marshall are like brothers. Surely Brandon Ingram probably didn't like all of the Jose disrespect and all of the antics that the Suns pulled throughout that first round series. Now I'm not saying that the Pelicans were perfect by any means, because they for sure had their moments. I'm just saying that Brandon Ingram was likely lit for a reason. Even with that in mind, I'm not used to seeing NBA players say things like this without something coming later like "I got hacked." The New Orleans Pelicans are in a really good place when it comes to basketball. They have a great coach, they're incredibly young, they have picks, and they have talent. My only concern at this moment is, will this team be able to keep things looking great when they're fully healthy? The Pelicans have a lot of mouths to feed, and they have to figure out how to adequately feed them. Personally, I love the idea of CJ as a sixth man. I actually feel that having a sixth man that good would be unfair for a team this talented. It's really funny. Everybody's talking about the three-point revolution, and here the Pelicans are shooting the fourth least threes per game. But again, doing something like this is a whole lot easier when you have a Zion Williamson that can increase your quality of look from 2 and beyond the arc. Guys, let me know what you think of everything down in the comments below. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm GETLIKECOOP, bringing you guys the scoop. Until our next upload.